All right, here we go. Thursday, late night happy hours back. Sorry, Dave, I haven't been around the last couple of weeks, but Koken's here. It's Cofield. We follow up. We were going to do about 45 minutes of Jets postgame. And Dave was like, we have a lot of topics, so let's not do Jets postgame for 45 minutes.
I don't know. We should at least spend 10 minutes on it, right? Well,
I don't.
Maybe not.
10 seconds.
I will say this.
10 seconds.
I mean, a lot of Colts bettors out there tonight.
Oh, yeah.
And wow. Twitter was going to absolutely blow up.
Oh,
that was almost an epic backdoor.
Yep. Well, the Jets are not a good team, and now they're down to their third quarterback. So, and the funny thing is, the quarterbacks weren't the issue because they were able to score. I mean, a lot of it was nonsense late scoring because they were down 42-10. But their defense is so bad, and this is Dave. This is a franchise that needs a couple of years to continue to try to draft well, which they haven't done for a long time. So I hate to say this because it's antithetical to the fan, but common sense is if you're a Jets fan, you really don't want them winning more than 3 or 4 games this year anyway.
Yeah.
They've got 2 firsts coming up. They've got 2 seconds. The other first is the Seahawks, so they got a break that Russell Wilson went down because the Seahawks aren't good. So they need, this time around, because they really haven't nailed it with the first-round picks, they have to friggin' nail it with the first and second-round picks, or they're not going to come out of this anytime soon.
Get Thibodeau, because boy, does he fix it. He fixes issues right away. That guy's a great player, and they need help on defense. Now that they're not good.
Nope.
You ever think Robert Saleh is saying to himself, maybe I should have waited another year for another job?
I often wonder why, and he's a person of color, so I guess you could look at it differently and go, hey, is he going to get an opportunity? But he was hot as a pistol. I mean, he's with the Niners. The Niners aren't good now, but I think he would have been a candidate this year as well. Sometimes you're seeing I tell you what, and I'm probably the only person outside of New York who's been ranting on this. I was doing a lot of ranting and raving down the stretch. I know it's, fans and media think it's real cool when an owner shits all over players. And when I saw the Mets owner doing that, man, I was like, this guy's a loser. He's way too involved. This is going to get around baseball, and baseball people are going to be like, you're meddling with management. You're shitting on the players, and you're seeing it. I don't know if you're following it, but the Mets are getting turned down by assistant GMs all over the league with, good organizations. They're like, no, we don't want any part of this Steve Cohen guy.
Yeah, and part of that, you could do it if you're George Steinbrenner, because Steinbrenner would spend all the money in the world to get great players. So it's like, all right, he's an asshole, but we'll put up with it because we're going to win a lot of games. Don't know that the Mets are going to do that, especially with things being different now in baseball than they used to be in terms of the luxury tax and things like that, where teams don't want to do that because it costs them a lot of money if they do. So I don't know how well that arrangement is going to work with the other New York team.
It ain't going too well so far. But yeah, maybe Robert Saleh made a mistake because he's going to get out of the gates in his coaching career 2-14, 3-13, whatever it is, 3-14, 4-13 now with the 17 games. So give me your reaction to the Knights move. I love that the Knights had competition and they were like, no, we're getting Jack Eichel, and Vegas should be proud of the fact that, and they should stop getting pissed off that these guys are cutthroat. They are going to do what they think is best to win. So I understand the player loyalty thing, but you have to go onward and upward to keep getting better. And Eichel is a great player when he comes back. He's a great addition.
If he's healthy. I mean, he's having a surgery that I think it's the first time it's been done to a hockey player. But doctors know what they're doing. So one would assume he might show some rust when he comes back, but he's an immensely talented guy who's been surrounded by garbage in Buffalo. And I think it's going to be good for him out here. From the Golden Knights standpoint, look, they gave up a really good player in Tuck, a good young prospect in Krebs, who's been very impressive in his game so far this season, and draft choices. But I mean, if you live in Las Vegas, you may as well gamble. And if you're going to gamble, this is the guy to do it with. I mean, if Eichel's healthy, come playoff time, it doesn't matter as long as they make the playoffs. Their regular season record really doesn't matter. We saw that again. We've seen it several years in the NHL. Saw it again last year. The very last team to qualify for the playoffs was the Montreal Canadiens. They made it to the Cup Finals. So the task for the Golden Knights is just find a way to get to the playoffs, which they should be able to do. And then you've got the potential of a line with Mark Stone, Max Pacioretty, and Jack Eichel in the middle. Good luck stopping those guys. I mean, that is a scary good line. They'll be serious contenders come playoff time as long as they make the playoffs. And, I guess that's a little bit of a concern because they're so shorthanded. And, they're 5-5, which isn't exactly a great start. And I think they might be muddling around 500 for a while. But even if you just get to the last spot, once you're in, you're in. And we know anything can happen at that point. So I think it's a good gamble. I mean, if Eichel is back to full health by the end of the season, I know there's some fans, he never took Buffalo anyplace. Well, he didn't have anything around him. And the guy he's not the best player in the league. That's McDavid. But he's really good. He's a superstar.
So let's talk about the story of the week, and we can get to it quickly here and then get the football picks. And you reminded me of a story from last year that you got a rash of crap over.
Yep.
Listen, doing radio, doing the terrestrial side, it's been a little touch and go because there's a lot to the story. The biggest part of the story is we lost a local, this poor lady, Tina Tintor, is only 23 years old. I'll say personally, I think it hits all of us a little bit differently. That area that she lived in, and then Ruggs lives up by Rainbow and Charleston. That's kind of my area, and I'm up and down Rainbow all the time. And I know you are because I saw you tweet the other day. And man, I just keep, if someone can tell me if the Target she works at is the one at Rainbow and Spring Mountain, like that hit me a little bit today. And then I saw the extended video footage where someone at the condo complex is peeking over the wall. And these two were just sitting there, whining that they got into an accident and someone is literally burning to death, a few hundred feet away. It's just
what a horrible way to die.
It's unbelievable. I mean, and she was alive, and everyone who, all the eyewitnesses were like, we tried.
I mean, it'd be awful. It's awful any way you look at it. But you almost wish that she'd been killed instantly because I can't imagine how horrible that must have been for that poor girl. It's heartbreaking.
We've talked about it with the Raiders like that. I know the Raiders are they're in a weird position because you got someone who died here, and then they've also got this guy that they were teammates with. But you reminded me of something in terms of like character, and you may not think a whole lot about it in the moment, but Ruggs made a terrible mistake here. He was incredibly selfish, and you got a rash of crap a while ago for a story about.
Oh, I sure did.
You didn't even name him and everyone found out who it was.
No, and I'm sorry, but my assessment of him is that he's kind of stupid based on what took place. Last year, there was an incident at a restaurant where one of the Raiders, unnamed, left a $10 tip on a $600 tab, which means that the food server actually lost money serving that party because they have to pay taxes. I don't know what the exact percentage is. I think it's 8% or something like that. So the food server actually lost money serving them. And that's just downright rude. And it's just this. Anyway, I never named the guy. Didn't name the player, didn't name the restaurant. Just that it had happened and it involved one of the Raiders. Here's how dumb this guy is. And I'm sorry if you're a fan, but this is a dope. All right? He tweets at me. He tweeted at me saying, oh, you don't know what happened. Well, actually, I did know what happened. That's how I found out about it, you nitwit. Oh, no, now, if it wasn't you and I didn't name you, then why would you be tweeting at me to say it didn't happen? I mean, it's my impression was, holy shit, this guy's dumb. Turns out he's kind of reckless, too. I'm not saying one ties into the other, but let's just say he wasn't wasn't one of the people I was really impressed with on that team. Good player, no question about that. Tons of talent. And he might be a nice guy. I don't know. I never met him. But I'll say two things. One, obviously, it is the height of irresponsibility. One guy tweeted it to me today Well, he made a mistake. I guess you've never made a mistake. And my response was, yeah, we all make mistakes, but I've never put anybody's life in danger intentionally. And if you're driving 150 miles an hour on a 45-mile-an-hour limit city street, you are endangering everybody else who's on the road, including yourself. To tell you the truth, the first thing went through my mind was, does this guy want to kill himself? When I read about that, I mean, who's that crazy? 150 miles an hour, 150 fucking miles an hour on a city street? You got to be insane. I don't care how many drinks you've had. So anyway, that's the end of him. I don't think we'll ever see him in the NFL again. By the time the civil, he's got great lawyers, so I don't know what'll end up being the situation as far as the legal aspects go. But the civil suits, he's got no chance in the civil suits, and they're going to be all over the place. So goodbye to him. That's it. I don't feel bad for him, by the way. I'm sorry. People say, "Why? I feel bad for him too." Why? He fucked up. Okay, in a totally unacceptable way. That's endangering society. That is the height of endangering society. He might as well, that loaded gun that he had in the car, he might as well have taken that out and just started shooting it at random. And if he hits somebody, oh, well, that's the way it goes. He didn't mean it. I'm sorry. You got to take responsibility for your actions. And yes, we all make mistakes, but we don't make them at that level. I mean, the prosecutor said he's never seen anything like it. And prosecutors might hype things on occasion, but I think he's right. I don't think he's ever seen a case where somebody was driving 150 miles, actually got up to 165 miles an hour in his Corvette on Rainbow. Jesus.
It's crazy. It's crazy. And yeah, I'm not going to be lectured by people if we're too harsh on Henry Ruggs. And I haven't been that harsh on him, but
I have. I've been very harsh on him.
Yeah, I don't, and I'm not mad at you. I hosted the coaches show last night, and Marcus Arroyo without hesitation, and didn't really mention Ruggs, but he's like, yeah, I don't feel bad for him at all. And people
I feel bad
for to say that.
I feel bad for his kid, who now might be growing up without a father. Kid's got nothing to do with it, and feel just horrible for that poor girl and her family. It's just, there's no other word for it than heartbreaking. Girl's on her way home, and her life's over.
Yep. We're getting a lot of this where people are seeing what Davis said, and they're not hearing the stuff about. They're hearing what and seeing what he said about Ruggs, because that's what we put out in the media, and they're not hearing what he said about the victim, Tina Tintor. I would virtually guarantee you, if as long as it doesn't get them in any legal harm's way early on. Because Chris George says, are they doing anything for the family of the victim? I will guarantee you that they will make some sort of giant donation, start some kind of fund, and it will be a fund. I don't know this for a fact, but it's just my feeling on the way they operate, that they will have some sort of fund that exists for years and years and years, and there will be a fundraiser for her family, for like moving forward for the next 10 years, at least. That's the least they can do.
Yeah, unfortunately, they can't do the most important thing, which is to bring her back.
They can't bring her back.
She's dead.
Yep. So, but the Raiders, unlike there are some other organizations, believe me, the Rams were fine watching Leonard Little get nothing when he killed a woman in a drunk driving accident in 1998. And
by the way, I believe
he served an 8-game suspension. He got community service. And he was back for the Super Bowl a year and a half later. And I remember that goddamn Super Bowl, Dave, because I traveled to it for, at the time, Sports Fan Radio Network. And it was one of the most appalling things I've ever seen, because we're there with a group of media, and the NFL had like goddamn henchmen around him. And they're like, don't ask about it. Do no questions about. And like, you're like, wait, now I'm the fucking bad guy?
Yeah.
We're asking for some accountability. The guy killed someone and served no time in jail.
Times have changed.
They have.
Thankfully. I mean, I can't guarantee it, but I'd be shocked if Ruggs doesn't do well. It's 2 to 20 on the charge, mandatory. Now, I don't know. He's got excellent attorneys, and I'm sure they're going to try and get some kind of reduction, but I don't know how they're going to do it. I don't. I mean, because this one's it's so over the top.
Yeah.
I don't know how they're going to do it.
I don't know. We've gone through a lot of different options. I don't know if somehow the rumor is that he was at Top Golf. I mean, I guess it was confirmed.
Yes.
So I don't know if Top Golf is somehow involved. We were told that it's not the responsibility in Nevada of the bartenders to make sure that you stop drinking and you're safe. It's like that's just not those laws exist elsewhere. They don't exist here.
I've never to be honest with you, I've never bought into those laws.
Yeah.
Why is it the bartender's responsibility?
Right.
You're responsible for you.
Mm-hmm.
Okay. You're an adult. You're responsible for you. This passing the buck. Well, the bartender shouldn't serve them that many drinks. It's not the bartender's job to keep count.
Right.
I mean, obviously, if a person is falling down drunk, then the bartender probably won't serve them.
Yeah, and they don't. I've seen it.
You didn't need a law to put that in place. I've spent enough time in bars over the years, and believe me, I've seen people get shut off because they were clearly drunk. And that's it. You're done.
They act like assholes, but the bartenders do the right thing. If they're too, if you're belligerent, you're bothering the other customers, and you're pass out drunk, they will stop. Most. Yeah. The only other thing that our legal podcast last night, Judge Dan was like, the defense attorneys could come up with something that was a flaw in that car, the RAV4, to say that, I don't know. I think that's kind of their Hail Mary shot, that the car shouldn't have been able to withstand the impact without blowing up. I don't know.
At 150 miles an hour? Okay.
127 miles an hour.
Good luck on that one. The flaw was that maybe they can go that route. Well, they shouldn't design cars that can go that fast.
Actually,
don't be surprised if that doesn't come into it.
I brought it up as a discussion, and I'm not for it. But when you think about it, it is kind of incredible that we have street legal cars, and the wealthy can afford cars that go 150, 170, 180 miles an hour. It is kind of nuts. And I think people drive fast everywhere. But I got it the last couple of days too. This was this is sobering because I drive fast. I was looking around, man.
So do I, but not crazy fast.
No, but I was looking around and I'm like, God damn, like people, and maybe they didn't see what happened, but people don't seem affected by this. There were a lot of people driving like super aggressively the last couple of days.
I was at the corner of I was at a red light on Russell at Rainbow. I was heading back home, and I could have made the right turn. Good thing I didn't. This car comes flying through, and he ran the red light, by the way, because it was one of those deals where the light had just turned red, but it's like, I'm going to get through this. I can't tell you exactly how fast he was going, but I'd estimate about 80 on Rainbow during a day. And not for nothing, but, I got a little bone to pick with Metro. Do me a favor, guys. Don't park on Hacienda between Rainbow and Durango, where there's like 8 cars going during the day. I understand it when school gets out. Okay. How about getting on Rainbow or on Durango? You want to pick up speeders. They're all over the place, and they run red lights like crazy. Really sitting there. I understand you it's a nice place to relax. Hacienda's a nice quiet street, and you might pick off somebody who's going 50 in a 35 mile an hour zone. But come on, do some good. Okay, because if people know that you're out there on Rainbow, they're less likely to speed. People travel the same streets all the time, and they're very quick to pick up on where the speed traps are. So it's I know because I go down Hacienda quite a bit. It's like, this is not a street to go 50 on, because he might be sitting on one of those little driveways and come out and give me a ticket. They've been giving tickets out there for like 25 years. Okay, it's always been a good spot, but it doesn't serve any purpose. Go where the drivers are going fast and ticket them.
Yeah, one of the spots a little further up north, Durango north of Charleston, going to Summerlin Parkway. People get a little crazy, drive fast there. So they usually have the motor cop out there. But there are other areas. We talked about it with Kristen Watkins the other day. there are areas that turn into just speed zones where you can pick up a lot of speed,
Yep.
highways, local roads, and it gets kind of crazy out there, man.
On the highway, I don't have as much of a problem. 215 is notorious for
Yeah.
speeding, but it's a highway.
Yeah.
But on a city street, there's pedestrians all over the place.
Yeah.
I mean, you can't I keep mentioning Rainbow because that's where this accident was. Rainbow's basically every traffic light. You have to sit and wait for the walk sign to complete. It's a long cycle because there's a lot of pedestrians walking across the street. It's just, I don't care if it was 3:30 in the morning. That's just, and I'm not really a hard ass. I'm really not. Most people who know me know I'm not a bleeding heart liberal, but I'm more toward that side. But in cases like this, I'm pretty hardcore. I think he needs to go away for a long time because he didn't just make a mistake. He murdered somebody. And that's the right word. If you're driving 150 miles an hour on a city street, there's a good chance you might murder somebody.
Yeah, Mike said it's freaking crazy on city streets. Mother blankers literally drive 30 to 40 over the limit, weaving out of the lanes every freaking day. 215 on the Summerlin side. I brought that up on the air, driving like the Autobahn. When you're coming downhill from like Summerlin Parkway, Far Hills, down towards Red Rock, the casino, it is insane. I'll admit, I drive fast. So I was like, I'm going to go with the traffic. And I looked down and I was like, and traffic was going 78, 79 miles an hour. And I looked to my left a couple times and it was just like 95, 100 miles an hour. But I've seen bikes going downhill on Summerlin Parkway doing 130 and doing this shit too.
Yep.
Like all over. I'm like, they're gonna die, and like people can't see them. High speed, supercharged sports cars, Ferraris, Lambos, same thing, 120, 125 going downhill. So this is not the last of these tragedies. I mean, this
this one might
be crazy.
This one might be the extreme
where it was at 156 miles an hour. Yep. And going back, like there's a lot of I could have seen things and saw this coming. I will say when Ruggs bought that Corvette, and at the same time he bought his girlfriend a Mustang GT, and I remember TMZ getting a video and they're making a big deal of it. And I tweeted that day at Mike Pritchard, and part of it was I was thinking, is this the right kind of car for a 22-year-old? But part of it was I tweeted at Mike and I said, hey, is this a good car to purchase with your first contract? Like, dude, dial it down. Like, you're not guaranteed to stay in the NFL forever. He's a first-round pick, but you're buying whatever this car is, $85, $90, $110, $120,000. Then his girlfriend's getting the $65,000 Mustang. Like, our kids, because I'll tell you right now, I mean, I drive like a lunatic now. At 22, if I had some like 475 horsepower Corvette at 22, I mean, forget about it. It's just. And again, I don't want to restrict what people can have, but it's like you have to think, like, is this a wise decision? And then I didn't even realize the guy lives in a residential area. Like, that is my area. I didn't realize he lives basically like right at Charleston and Oakey, back on Del Rey. So how many times was he driving like through that area, which that's really bad if you're driving through that area, and then up and down Rainbow doing 80, 90, 100 miles an hour before this?
It is somebody tweeted or somebody commented, it's wanton disregard for others. It is.
You just don't give a shit.
Yep.
It's wanton disregard for the person in the car. There was another video.
You know what? I don't.
His girlfriend's like, please slow down. Like, dude, you're going to kill this person you supposedly love and want to be with.
That's why I don't know the guy. And it's just a wild guess. But to me, anybody who's doing what he did, they might have some serious psychological problems regarding themselves.
Yep. Because
basically, you're basically saying, I don't give a fuck about my life.
Yep. You're walking.
It almost had to end badly.
Huh? I've heard other stories that this wasn't the first time they saw him. People saw him driving like a moron. So
that would make sense.
There's a lot of open roads and a lot of open space down by that Raiders facility. Well,
it's a tragedy in any case. So on the football side of it, though, let's go back to the football side of it.
This is an amazing. You want to talk Giants and Raiders?
Yeah. No, Browns and Raiders.
No, Giants. They're at the Giants this week.
Oh
Browns are
no,
big.
oh I know. Well, I was talking about something that might
Oh,
happen with the Browns.
Odell Beckham. Go ahead.
Yeah,
Go ahead.
he's being released by the Browns.
All right.
He's not a bad fit for Las Vegas because he's a very entertaining guy. He's still very talented, and well, let's call it straight. They kind of need a receiver. I think it could happen. Why not?
Is this guy or Deshaun Jackson the guy you want to bring into this locker room right now?
That I don't know about because I don't know about either guy's real presence in the locker room. I do know that, and this is just watching. Kind of think Deshaun Jackson can still play, but I think he's kind of lost a step. Not sure Beckham has. If he has, with his hands, it doesn't much matter. He's still an amazing receiver. Now, the locker room stuff, I don't know. I have no idea.
Yeah. He's in Beckham's case, he has turned on the organization and the quarterback 2 times now. So I think it's risky. The question here, why release him but not trade him? No one wanted him.
They just want him out of there.
No one's trading anything. No one's trading assets for all this salary. Deshaun Jackson went on waivers, and the cost was minimal.
Right.
And still, no one brought him in. Having to add, I think the base was like $1.53 million to your salary situation. So yeah, but it happens, and sadly, it happens too often with receivers. It's such a me position, and it's such a me, one-on-one. I got to win this battle that a lot of them just, I don't know, they get kooky, man, and they're never satisfied. It's the world against me. It's my team against me, and the Raiders already went through this, Dave. Keep in mind they already went through this less than a couple of years ago with Antonio Brown.
Yeah, the interesting thing is that if it were the old Raiders, he'd already be signed.
Oh, yeah.
He'd already be signed. He would be a perfect fit for the Al Davis Raiders. Mark Davis is, I think, a little more cautious. So I don't think it's going to happen. I just brought it up because it's, it's possible.
I'll also, I think the new team in terms of, hey, F it, they'll come in, we'll fix them, we'll take chances on guys who have shown low character. Now it's one of the other teams in the division. It's the Chiefs.
Well, yeah. Unfortunately, he doesn't play defense.
Well,
my God, their defense sucks.
It's not good.
It's really bad.
It's not good.
Hey, not for nothing. I'm not saying I'm going to bet the game, but there's not a chance in the world I'd be laying that number with the Chiefs against the Packers. Not a chance.
Nope.
They're not playing anywhere near the level they did last year, and they're the worst spread team in the league. I mean, you're just burning money when you bet on that team right now. And they had trouble with the Giants, who aren't good. And I'm not saying Jordan Love's going to go out there and be Aaron Rodgers, but I don't think it's inconceivable that if there's a team you want Jordan Love to break in against, it's the Chiefs.
All right. Well, how about the situation with the Giants? They seem to have coaching issues, character issues on the team, COVID issues. I mean, I bet them on Wednesday. I was like, you know what? I'll take the 3 with what's going on with the Raiders now. But now I'm like, I don't know which side is going to lack focus and have a bigger issue going into this game because they both have big problems.
Yeah. I don't know either. I think the Raiders are going to – I'm not saying they're going to win. I'm not going to bet them. But if I had to guess, I think the Raiders will come together and put forth a big effort here. I think they're going to want to show themselves. Forget the fans. It's got nothing to do with fans. They're going to want to show themselves that this isn't bothering them. And they already did that once because they clearly looked really good, probably their best game of the year, coming out of the Gruden mess. So maybe they can do it again. And, let's face it, the Giants are a decent hang-around team, but that's about it. They don't know how to win games, and the line's pretty short. So I don't know, though. That stuff's – this is tough enough as it is. I don't need to be just coin flipping.
Right. Well, I mean, same deal with how is the team going to react with Dallas and Denver. Clearly, the line is set for Dak's return. They're -10. The Cowboys are.
I think I might take the Broncos in that one.
Yeah, I was going to say, I wonder how the Broncos look at Von Miller if they're just like, hey, it was time.
It was time.
Or if they look at it like, hey, we're giving up because I don't think they're giving up. I actually think it was a good move to get rid of him and get some capital for him.
I agree. Look, Von Miller is going to the Hall of Fame. He's one of the best ever to play his position. He wasn't all that good last year, and he's slowing down. Age, unless your name is Tom Brady, is basically a factor for everybody. And I was a little surprised the Rams did it. It's like, I don't know. He's not that good anymore. Okay. Maybe he's got a few good games left in him, but I was expecting one of the reasons I kind of like the Broncos going into this season was, well, Miller he's had plenty of time now to kind of get focused again, and he's healthy again. And with who's the guy on the other side? I'm blanking on it. I can't think of his name. He's a terrific rusher. It's like this is going to be a fierce defense, but he hadn't played well. So I don't think it's a big loss for the Broncos. It might be in the locker room. I don't know. I'm not there. I think the line's a little too high in this game, and I do think it's possibly a complacent spot for the Cowboys, coming off a really nice win with Cooper Rush at the controls. Now they get Dak back. Boy, this is a spot where they could be fat and happy, and getting 9 or 10 points in that kind of a spot is not a bad thing. The other team that I think could be in for a bit of a letdown this week would be the Saints. They're off a great win against the Bucks, and this Atlanta team is pesky enough to hang around and maybe pull the upset. I mean, they're not a great team, but I think they've won 4 in a row. I think it's 6. I think that's a decent take.
Did word come out today officially about Kyler Murray?
So no, right now, not that I know of, but I think he's going to play.
Okay, I was told by a decent source today that he's not going to play.
Oh, okay.
But because I'm also wondering, because I got it at pick when I was told that, I was like, I'll take I don't love the Niners even without Kyler Murray on the other side, but it's now 2 in a lot of places, 1.5. It's a lot of 2s. So I wonder if it's getting more and more clear that Kyler Murray isn't going to play.
I'll tell you one thing: if they'd have won the game last week, I would say, yeah, he's taking a week off here.
Okay.
But they lost, so a little more sense of urgency, I suppose. They do want to finish ahead of the Rams. And home field could be big come playoff time. It means more in the NFL than in some other leagues. They're a good story, and the Rams are a good story. That's going to be fun. I mean, it sure looks like, I don't know, I could be dead wrong on this, but it looks like the NFC playoffs are going to be sensational.
It's going to be insane. That's why
it's going to be some really good teams.
The seeds matter. You don't want to go to cold weather cities. But by the way, we kind of skimmed over the big story in Green Bay. What do you think about Aaron Rodgers going back now to August saying, hey, I was immunized, and it seems like he misled a lot of people, or Green Bay knew about it and didn't give a shit, and he's walking around with a mask all the time.
Well, he didn't say he was vaccinated.
No, he did not.
So technically he didn't lie.
It's what I keep saying, but a lot of people are like, hey, if you say you're immunized when you're asked about being vaccinated, are you playing games, or, what are you trying to do here?
I think it's a combination of both.
Yep.
I tell you one thing, knowing Aaron Rodgers, and I don't know him, but you kind of know his way. After all these years, he ain't going to apologize for anything.
No, it's actually the opposite.
That's not his style. He's going to double down.
Oh yeah, Pro Football Talk was saying word is that he's pissed off that there was a leak.
Yep. Well,
like he's the one who's offended.
That's not surprising.
Yeah. Well,
I think just the way he is.
I think others have the right to be offended. If I'm told that you are vaccinated and you're maskless in front of me, that ain't cool. At least if I know I can take precautions, come on, show some respect for others.
Well, one thing we know, because he tested positive and is not vaccinated, he's out for at least 10 days, which is a big difference from being vaccinated. And you can like or dislike the rule. The rule is the rule. If you're vaccinated, as soon as you get a negative, you're back. No wait. So if he was vaccinated and tested positive, he could be out there this Sunday as soon as he gets the negative. But that's not the case. This is automatic 10 days, which means it's possible he might miss next week as well.
Could be 2 losses, and all of a sudden you can't be. There's a cat. You can't be.
I was wondering. I knew I saw something,
right.
And then I saw the tail there.
Yeah,
mine is out in wherever he is.
Yeah, I don't know what Chris is mentioning here. What's the difference if he tells us or not? There's a difference. All right.
Well, the difference is they've got a rule in the NFL.
Yes.
It's that simple. And you can like the rule or dislike the rule. That's the rule. I don't like the rule that says I got to pay a lot of taxes every year, but that's the rule.
Yeah. I don't know. For me, the difference is it's a matter of respect, first of all, for people around you. Two, I have no idea. I don't know what Aaron Rodgers' cleanliness is. I don't know if he's taking precautions not to get it. He got it. I haven't gotten it. So maybe I've been lucky, but I haven't gotten it. And I worked a little bit not to get it. And I don't make $42 million a year. I don't want to miss fucking work because someone else is reckless. Like, I've been taking precautions. So as an example, we have I don't know, say upwards of a half dozen people in our office who are not vaccinated. And I don't think everyone can tell, but we don't do shows in those studios, Dave.
No.
I don't go in there because I'm doing anything I can to avoid putting UNLV football and basketball in jeopardy and losing any money. I don't make enough money to freaking miss 2 weeks of work. So literally since last March when this thing went down, it's been 19 months. I've done less than 10 shows in our studios.
All I know is,
you know what? But that's my choice because I know there were people in the building who were unvaccinated, but I knew, and then I could make a decision, and I've missed no time at work. So that's what the difference is. And when people are like, it's none of your business. No, it is, because what you do can affect me, and I'm not losing fucking money, and I'm not getting hospital bills. So that's the difference. And I don't want to hear about transmission rates and masks and that vaccinated people can carry it as well. I understand that. But if you're around me, I also don't really go maskless around vaccinated people either. Oh, I'm sorry. Chris was talking about the difference between vaccinated and immunized. Well, I think he could say technically you're immunized if he had used an alternate method. He can believe that's immunized against COVID. And he actually did apply with the league.
Right.
He actually did apply and say, hey, I'm going to use alternate methods. And they were like, it's not going to work. So, Chris, I apologize. But I did want to mention that because I see people all the time are like, it's none of your business. Like, well, when you work in a company and there's lots of people around you, or you're on a football team and there's lots of people around you, what you do does affect others. Well, and we've set this up so that at least we have basic knowledge so that you can do what you want to do. But I can take precautions if I know what you're doing.
Yeah. And as far as people, I understand people reacting the way they are. That, it's being forced on our throats, blah, 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 blah.
Okay.
Yeah, it kind of is. But you better get used to it because corporate America, by and large, they're all going to institute mandates. Now, they're not going to be doing it for any other reason than the bottom line because they are liable for inflated health insurance rates and more sick leave. That's money. They don't give a shit. Okay, let's be clear. But corporate America doesn't give a shit whether you like it or not. They're going to do what's best for their bottom line and their stockholders. That's the reality of the situation. So you can bitch all you want about, that's the way it is. Okay.
Yeah.
They don't care if they lose a handful of employees because they don't want to pay higher health insurance premiums and be subject to more sick leave. It's just that simple. It's a bottom line issue. So when Biden comes out and says that, believe me, if he's no idiot, despite what some of you think, if he thought or was being advised that corporations would not go along with this, he wouldn't be doing it. He's doing it because he knows that corporations basically are going to, we don't have much choice. We're going to do it because they care about their shareholders. That's what they give a shit. They don't care about their employees, but they do care, or their rights. They do care about the bottom line. That's just the way it works. Welcome to corporate America. And corporate America isn't going away anytime soon.
No, it doesn't appear so. All right, let's hit a little college football because this now, like, I love the first 2-3 weeks of college football because I think there's a lot of overreactions to what happens. But I love this part of the year, Dave, when the CFP is out and teams, they got to win. They got to win. So they're going to have extra motivation. And then one by one, they crumble with, point spreads are out of control. How do you look at it during the college football playoff? Hey, they're just games, or do you start kind of factoring in the pressure,
Well,
the letdowns,
I
the bubble
factor
bursting, all that stuff?
it varies. I'll give you an example, and I was wrong on this game, but I thought Cincinnati last week. Here's a chance to impress the selection committee. And he beat the crap out of Tulane. Well, they didn't. And they barely beat Navy. And now they're paying for it because don't tell me that those two scores didn't matter.
Right.
If they'd have beaten Navy by 40 and Tulane by 40, I think they'd be in the playoff top 4 right now. They're not. So I would think, and on power ratings, it's no bargain. But situationally, Cincinnati's got to be looking at this game with Tulsa on Saturday and going, we cannot let up. We have to keep scoring the entire game. They're going to screw us over, which they already are. So now Cincinnati has to go out there, and they know going in, we need to win this game by 40. The line's like 22. They need to win by 40. Doesn't mean they will, but that's the type of team I will back because I do know, unless the coach is an idiot, and he's not, if it's the fourth quarter and they're up by 20, they're not going to stop.
Yeah.
Okay, they're going to score more points because they just saw what happened. They're unbeaten. They got a couple of really good wins, and they're outside the top 4 behind teams that have lost.
And by the way, and I understand part of this is a TV show, and they're trying to build drama. So, hey, screwing over Cincy is going to get everyone worked up. And then we get to watch every week if Cincy continues to be unbeaten, if they move up. But the numbers, people, and you're a numbers guy, the books are saying Cincy is better than Michigan State. They would be favored over Michigan State. They would be favored over over Oregon. They would. Ohio State would be favored over all of them.
Yep.
So what they put together, I understand it's a TV show and there's some intrigue and you're trying to trigger people, but anyone out there who believes that Cincinnati can't play with some of these teams, and I brought it up today with Brad Powers, and I brought it up all week. Listen, year to year is not transferable, but if you play in a bowl game against Georgia in January and you basically take your foot off the gas pedal and you lose by 3 points, Georgia, Cincinnati in the Peach Bowl, and then you come back the next year and these morons from the SEC and even college football experts are like, oh, they can't compete with them. They just did.
Ridiculous.
They just did. They should have won the goddamn game. They just competed with it. You just can't erase history. Stop.
No, and I'll grant you there was some factors in that game. I had Cincinnati plus the points in that game because Georgia was shorthanded. I didn't think Georgia cared.
Yeah,
I didn't think Georgia cared. But Cincinnati still went out there and beat him and beat him pretty handily for 3 quarters.
Yep.
They did fall apart in the fourth quarter and blew the game. But they're more experienced now than they were a year ago, and they're a better team than they were a year ago, in my opinion. So I'd like to see them get in. They'd probably have to face Georgia again. Which probably won't go well because Georgia is really loaded.
They are good.
I don't think you can deny them their opportunity. But they should know going in that they're going to have to be super impressive down the stretch. Not just win, but win convincingly. Otherwise, they're going to find a way to let them out. The most interesting team to me is Wake Forest.
Oh, yeah. Oh, yeah. A power 5 that's getting disrespected.
Yeah, and you know what? I'll guarantee you, they're underdogs this week at North Carolina.
They are.
And I will guarantee you Dave Clawson he's got to be smart enough to look at that spread and go, do the old Lou Holtz thing. Look at this. Las Vegas doesn't think we have a chance. And sell his team on it. Now, I don't think Wake Forest is a playoff team. I don't think the ACC has a playoff caliber team this year. The league's down. But they're unbeaten, and they keep winning games. And I give them full respect, and I'm going to play them. I'm going to take Wake Forest. They're better than North Carolina anyway. North Carolina's lost 4 games already, and I question their motivation. And by the way, it's not an ACC game. It's each team had an open date, and rather than schedule somebody out of the conference, they decided, well, let's play each other. It's a good rivalry.
It's a non-con conference game.
Yeah, right.
Conference non-con.
How weird is that?
I didn't know that. I hadn't seen that. Hey, I got a quick one. Man, I don't know if anyone has any knowledge of this because as I'm going through the card this week and I'm hearing games you like, Brad likes, other people like. I think I'm going to play a bunch of college games, but I'm actually going to New Mexico tomorrow, and I'll be there Friday and Saturday. What is the does anyone in the room know what does New Mexico have right now for sports gambling? Are they similar to Arizona? Was it restricted in some ways? Because I was kind of looking forward to going to these different states and getting an account, and then you get some of these bonuses. And I'm like, hey, if I get 10 free plays, 8 free plays, 6 free plays, I'm gonna put it on some of these college games.
Sure.
So if
I don't
anyone
know
knows,
what it is in New Mexico.
yeah.
I think New Mexico's going to win.
Well, that someone's asked multiple times. What do you think of that line when it came out? New Mexico won against UNLV.
Well, on paper, it is a pretty even game.
Yeah.
But I mean, UNLV, it's not going to be on my card because I think I've got 5 games. That's enough. I don't like going any deeper than that if I can help it. But I mean, I absolutely consider New Mexico simply because UNLV doesn't know how to win a football game. And last week was really bad. They've had a lot of good games this year where they just missed and against some quality competition. They put up a good fight against an undefeated Texas San Antonio team. They almost beat Fresno State. They've had some pretty decent efforts this year where they just came up short. But last week, oh boy, they got their ass kicked. I mean, they got destroyed. And I just wonder about the confidence level. And New Mexico, while they're not good, they're at least winning some games. So I can't take the Rebels.
I wonder about confidence. I thought last week was finally hey, we got punched in the face 5 or 6 times in a row and devastated, and we couldn't get off the mat for this one, and an emotional spot. And Reno was super emotional, super emotional. They were fired up. I mean, I don't know if you saw the play where one of the UNLV linebackers got his helmet popped off, and the guy was just like headbutting, Jesus. All right, Reno.
It was a big crowd, and boy, they were really into it.
Yeah.
I think that rivalry kind of means more to them than it does to us.
Oh, it in most years it has. I will say this. I think you saw what it meant to Tony Sanchez, and it was reflected on the field. Because they actually did well.
Yeah.
And if you remember, there were times at the beginning of the rivalry, it's always when the outside person comes in, it takes them a couple of years. Like you hear about it and you're like, oh, it's a good rivalry. And then you have to be in it as a coach, and then you're like, holy shit.
Yep.
This is a super intense rivalry, because I don't think Jay Norvell got it at the beginning.
No, and UNLV, despite not being the better program, won a couple of games.
They did.
And got to paint the cannon red and actually broke the cannon one of those years. But they had to repair it.
And there's no doubt. I'll tell you what. The one outsider that I've seen recently who got it, and unfortunately on the other side, the guy didn't get it. I don't know that Marvin Menzies got it through to his team, because Marvin was recruiting internationally and nationally. On the other side, man, there's something about Musselman. He picks up on it quickly. Musselman got it. And then when Dave Rice was on his staff, he's like, we're going to do this for Dave. And we also hate these people. And I'm sure Musselman was like, I don't give a shit, but it's going to work on my players. When he put his teams out there, they looked to annihilate the Rebels and not stop with 5 minutes left in the game when they're up 30.
You know what was great for the rivalry? Mike Sanford. Yeah. He really was. Mike, I mean, that's the game he wanted. And he insulted him. He would call them the school up north. Refused to call them by name.
It's fun. You should.
It was fun.
And you do have to get it across to the players, because in Reno, they get it. Their players get it. Whatever they do with their player, they get it, and they come out and they're fired. But anyway, long story short, that was the Iowa State game. They got overwhelmed, but that was the most disappointing performance, because you had all the reasons to be motivated, and they just weren't ready for.
But in Iowa State's just way better. I mean, they're miles better. And
Reno's good. They ain't that.
Oh no, they're not. They're not Iowa State good. No, I thought last week was the first really totally disappointing game from a Rebel standpoint, because even in all these losses, for the most part, forgetting the Iowa State game where they were completely overmatched, there was something to take positive out of almost all those games. The one negative kept sticking out was that they don't know how to finish a game, but at least there were some positives. But there were none last week. There were no positives at all to come out of that game last week. So now they got a selling job, because that game's gone. The game that really mattered is gone. And now it's like, well, we need to win one for pride. I don't know if that's going to work.
Well, they need to win it, because this is a winnable game. Hawaii at home, they've got a chance. That's going to be a pretty good crowd with all the Hawaiians there. But New Mexico, talent-wise, this is the
Yeah.
most even they've been all season long.
Yeah,
So,
if you don't win this one, it's probably going to be 0 for the season.
that's not good. It's
No,
not good at all.
gotta win a game.
Let's bounce around. People were asking other games on the card. I don't know if you saw the one about Marshall and FAU.
That's a good game.
Yeah.
I don't trust Marshall's defense. I think the line's about right. I think Marshall's a little better football team, but their defense has not been good. And FAU they're okay. It's a good matchup. It's not a game I even considered betting. That to me that's a coin flip.
How have you done? I think this year in the Pac-12 has been super entertaining because there's a lot of balance. There's no one I don't think Oregon's great. And boy, if you had told me, I don't know, like 4 weeks ago that Utah would be 9-point favorite on the road against Stanford tomorrow night, Utah has come on.
They have, but they got their ass kicked at Oregon State last time they went on the road, and you got their ass kicked in that game. Oregon State just beat the piss out of them in the trenches. Their offensive line was just blowing up Utah's defense all night, and B.J. Baylor was running wild. The problem is Stanford. Okay, look, David Shaw is very well respected, but there are times when he tries. Look, the best player on that team is the quarterback, and yet they still are game planning like they're going to beat teams at the line of scrimmage. And they're not. If they come out running the ball against Utah, they're going to get beat. So I'm not laying 9. That's just too steep. And it's a dog conference because there's no great team. So they just it's just carnage. They cannibalize each other. But I can't take Stanford. I understand why the line's going up. I don't disagree with it.
All right. Some Big Ten spots.
That's a tough spot for Michigan State.
Yeah, Michigan State 3 at Purdue.
It's a tough spot for them. I think Tucker will have to do his best coaching job of the year here because that's a gigantic win last week. And it didn't look like they were going to win the game for most of the game. So this is tough. And they're unbeaten, so now there's a target on their back. And Purdue is capable of beating them. Purdue can throw the ball. And I think that's one of the best games this weekend. I would not be surprised if Purdue wins that game.
Sorry, I'm just laughing at people filling me in on New Mexico. So let's see.
I haven't been reading it.
You can bet local teams in New Mexico, but we don't have apps. All right,
they don't have apps.
No bonuses either. You have to go to a casino to make bets, and they're far.
It's a big state.
And then Adam said, unless you stay by the stadium, which is by the airport, casino's about 10 minutes away, but be careful staying in that area. Okay.
Why would they not have apps?
That is oh man. I don't even want to get into it. Like, I'll do some research on what the hell happened in New Mexico. Come on, man.
Good Lord. I mean, if it's like throwing money away, millions of dollars, by the way. I mean, have they not looked to see what the revenue is in New Jersey? I'm not saying New Mexico is going to be New Jersey,
right?
But those people aren't all driving to casinos and sports books to make their bets. They're betting online. To me, you don't need brick and mortar. You can go without brick and mortar. You literally don't need it at all.
You really don't want brick and mortar anymore.
It's just a convenience. That's it. You got to be online.
Oh, good. That's it. I also, what are the COVID restrictions in New Mexico? This is a good question. Is the casino letting in non-locals now? Wait, what's going on?
Oh, I didn't know about that.
Not allowed in. Oh, no. All right.
Well, listen, there's still people with phone numbers that you can call in New Mexico to place bets. It might not be legal.
I know. But
it works.
I know, but the whole point was going and opening.
Well, I know,
and getting all the bonuses and.
Well, this is what happens when you let politicians run things because they don't know their ass they don't know shit from Shinola, as the old expression goes.
Dave,
by the way, I own a Shinola watch.
Okay. That's that. By the way, that is an old term. That is a really old.
Yes, term. My father used to use that. He'd have been amazed had he lived long enough to find out that Shinola is now a company in Michigan, I believe they are. And they manufacture a lot of products, including very nice watches. And I have.
Oh, wow. Nice. I thought you were joking. Okay.
No, I got it at who's our jeweler sponsor? I'm forgetting.
What for the longest time?
Yeah.
Was Jewelers of Las Vegas?
No,
Or
no,
maybe
the
Michael.
one at,
No, the one you
Decatur.
were doing, the one you were doing ads for. Crap, I'm forgetting. I know you and you. I'm sorry, I'm blanking. I'll remember in a second.
How can I forget that? It's a wonderful jewelry store.
Yeah. Where was it going? Let's see. The other Big Ten spot I wanted to mention: Michigan 20 against Indiana.
It's a dead spot for Michigan. I don't know if Indiana's healthy enough to hang around, but I would take it before I'd lay it. Michigan's season got blown up last week. Now they've got one game that matters, Ohio State. They're not getting to the playoffs. Okay.
Damn.
Well, they're just not going to get there.
Right.
They would need a whole bunch of things to happen. So now it comes down to them beating Ohio State, which they probably won't do. And the Harbaugh detractors are back at full throat once again. Because, quite frankly, they probably shouldn't have lost last week, and they did. You're in control of the game. Let it get away.
What do you think TCU is going to be the rest of the year without Patterson? They're getting 7 against Baylor at home.
Well, Jerry Kill's going to run the team the rest of the year, and he's a good coach. He had to step aside from his head coaching duties because of health reasons. And hopefully he'll get through this okay. But I'm not getting in Baylor's way. They're really playing well. Baylor might be the best team in that league. The quarterback has improved immensely. They've got a good running game. They're playing with a lot of confidence. And I don't think they're going to go flat off the Texas win. I think they're going to keep on winning. I don't want to fade them. And the question for them is whether they're going to be able to keep their coach, because LSU is going to make him an offer.
That's a good point. Boy, talk about upward mobility, huh? You believe it or not, Aranda, I think, actually used UNLV as a negotiating pawn to push the money up a little bit. There actually were conversations.
Really?
Yeah, and then he wants to go into Baylor. He got like $2.4 million a year, and then LSU is going to pay whatever they want.
So he did a Mick Cronin only without all the publicity.
Well, he did it and without.
Because Mick before he left Cincinnati,
of course,
he played UNLV like a fiddle.
He knew, and it's funny. I was actually talking about Cronin to a friend today who wasn't aware of the story that Mick came here, then kind of disappeared. Then Tina comes out and says he took the job, he lied, and then he basically never answered. No. I was like, wait, what's happening? And now he's coming back in with UCLA on the 27th.
Yeah, and boy, I think things are going pretty well for him at UCLA. Mick's pretty good.
He's a good coach.
Yep.
Yeah, maybe not the highest of character at times, but he's a pretty good coach.
And he wins basketball games.
I will tell you, the more I read that story and when I hear Tina's like, oh, he lied, I'm like, you know what, Tina, I don't know what story.
That's coaches do that. Although their agents do it. Let's put it that way.
Right.
Because their job is to extract the most money possible for their client, and whoever his agent is succeeded in doing so.
Yep. What about some of the Pac-12 games? Arizona State 9.5 against USC.
I would expect a bounce back from Arizona State. Nobody wants them now.
Yeah.
And Drake London is a really big injury for USC. He's one of the best receivers in the country. He was a first-round draft choice. Whether he still will be or not, I don't know. It's not a knee, thankfully. It's an ankle. But that's a big loss. And that could be kind of a straw that broke the camel's back for a USC team that really isn't going anywhere and has a lame duck coaching staff. So I think Arizona State might get him here.
All right. You got anything on Texas, Iowa State? Iowa State 6.5?
No. Looks like a good number. Iowa State continues to be Iowa State. They play up to the level of their competition. They also play down to the level of their competition. It's the one nagging tendency in the Matt Campbell regime, and we know he can coach, but they don't always bring at a smaller level. We saw it tonight with Napier in Louisiana. I mean, they should squash Georgia State, but as they've done on other occasions this year, they played down to their competition. They were lucky to get out of there with a win, and yet when they step up in competition, they do well. So I don't know why this is with Iowa State, but I think they'll look at this as a big game coming off the loss to West Virginia. So that probably means they'll play well. Purdy's overrated, by the way.
He hasn't been good this year. Not as
No.
good as he's been in the past.
No.
Which of those coaches you just mentioned, Campbell and Napier? Which of those coaches would you trust if they were bumped up to the next level? Obviously the next level for Napier is different than Iowa State.
Yeah, Campbell.
Yeah, you would.
I think he's a big time coach. Yeah.
Okay.
I mean, it's Iowa State. They don't exactly have the richest history in the world as far as football goes, and he's made them they're a powerhouse program.
Yeah.
So, and it's going to take a lot to get him away from there. I think he likes it there. Not saying he wouldn't take another job if offered, but and the big buzz is Nebraska. Frost is probably going to be out of there because they just can't win a close game, and they'll probably give Ohio State a good battle this weekend, but they're not going to win the game because they just never win close games. That might be the best fit for Campbell. And Nebraska, they want to get back to where they were. I don't know if that's ever going to happen, but they're going to, they're going to open the vaults to get a really big name. And Campbell is probably, I would guess, the biggest name available if he's available.
Do you think Nebraska stays within 2 touchdowns against Ohio State?
I wouldn't be surprised. They really don't get outmanned by many teams. On paper, they can pretty much play with anybody. The quarterback has never materialized. He's as bad now as he was as a freshman in terms of making mistakes. And they just don't know how to finish a game. This has been going on ever since Frost arrived. I think they've got the worst record in college football in games decided by one possession. And you start pointing the finger at the coaching staff as far as that goes. And as far as Martinez goes, he looks like he's got all the tools, but he's just never put it together. Still makes the same critical mistakes.
Right.
And that's something as a guy who's been there for 8 years or however long he's been playing at Nebraska, you would think that he would have corrected that by now, but really hasn't.
You have anything in these some of the key Mountain West games? Fresno 5, Boise, Reno 11, San Jose State.
I think the one that interests me the most in the Pac-12 is San Diego State going to Hawaii.
7.5.
On paper, San Diego State handles Hawaii. They've got the defense that is set up to take away what Hawaii likes to do. But boy, that's a tough spot for them. They're off the bubble burst. Okay, they went from unbeaten, maybe playing on New Year's Day, to wherever they're going to be in whatever bowl now, and they're probably not going to win the Mountain West. And now you're going to make the long trip to Hawaii. We've seen this over the years.
Yep.
Not going to be something new if Hawaii rises up and beats the team they're supposed to lose to, because the other team is going in with less than great focus. I think Brady Hoke's got a real challenge getting his team ready for this game.
Last one, Pac-12, Oregon, Washington, Huskies getting 7.
Maybe Washington can give them a game. Oregon's got a lot of injury issues. By the way, the team with the real big issues this week is California. Looks like as many as 20 players will miss the game with COVID issues. So maybe Arizona will have a chance to win a game. I don't know. I'm not betting them, but that's just in case you're wondering what happened to that line. It dropped like with a thud once that news came out. I just can't get behind Washington. I think Jimmy Lake could be on it. He could be in trouble even this soon. He hasn't been there very long, but the program, that's a program that they're used to winning. And this has been a big flop season. Yep. Washington was projected by many people. If they didn't like Oregon to win the conference, they liked Washington because they had some real power up front on both sides of the ball. And it just hasn't come together at all for the Huskies. They've been a big disappointment this year. And Lake is catching the brunt of the criticism. That's nothing new. If you're the head coach and the team falls on its face, the head coach is going to be the one who gets the blame. And quite honestly, watching their games, I don't disagree with that. I think they've underperformed in a big way, and that does go to the coaching.
He came a little unraveled this week too. He was trying to talk trash on Oregon. Did you see that whole thing?
Yep.
About academics, like they're not a rival because we consider the academic schools our rivals. Like, dude, well, I can tell you, the people who are getting you paid want you to fucking beat Oregon. They don't care about the academics. It's football.
That's exactly right. It sounds like an excuse going in.
Right?
Well, we can't beat them on the football field, but we'll beat the crap out of them in the classroom.
Hoorah, academics.
That sells a lot of tickets.
Not what they pay for. All right, Dave. Well, have a good weekend. Sorry I was out a couple weeks, but we'll try to get back on a regular schedule now that the football season's winding down for UNLV. But good deal. I'm glad you did this tonight. I appreciate it. Thanks for everyone watching, and I hope you win a bunch this weekend, both